welcome to Rooted Vines. Look, I'm trying out this new angle for YouTube. Sorry to be abrupt about this, but I'm hoping that this works because I have issues trying to film videos for YouTube on my phone. So, y'all pray for me. I hope I did this right because it's a lot of work to try and edit and do this stuff. And I am not a techie, okay? I ain't gonna say my age. But what I will say is I'm not a techie, so it takes me a lot longer um, to get this stuff done. All right. Um, just to give you like a side note, I took a TikTok class yesterday, and she was talking about do at least 100 videos for the month. Me and my husband did like 5 videos, and we were supposed to do 10 just in a day. And that, like, we had to go take a nap. Yeah, y'all. And we didn't even finish all 10. And I'm like, 100 videos. How in the world are people doing 100, 200, 300 videos for the month? I don't understand. And how you splice and dice and edit and all that. By the time I was done, I was so frustrated. It's just too much. It's just too much work. I mean, when am I going to find time to be with my plants? When am I going to find time to read my book and tea time? When am I going to be able to take my spiritual baths? I mean, y'all on the phone, y'all really doing this TikTok like on the phone with the dancing and the shimming and bless your hearts. Bless your hearts. I don't know how this TikTok is going to work out. I'm going to do the best I can. And we'll see what happens. But anyways, I just had to say that. I just had to say that because, like I said, I'm not a techie. I'm old. I am very old school. Even for my age, I'm old school. All right. So I'm sure you saw the title of this video, which is called Mirror Mirror. So the last couple of videos I've done on fasting and detoxing. Uh, what else did we do? We did spirituality. Yes. And what else did we do? I can't remember the others, but all of them had kind of like a link to it, right? And they all kind of came back to dealing with ourselves, holding ourselves accountable. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit. And I wanted to call this Mirror Mirror because I really wanted to explore um, the depths of the human mind, how we think, the choices we make, um, and just the mysteries of it all, right? How do we become who we are through the trials and tribulations that we walk through? Um, and so in Mirror Mirror, we're going to talk a lot about shadow work. And I said this word a couple of times in a couple of other my videos. Shadow work is not dark. All it is dealing with whatever traumas, issues that you have, that causes you to make the decisions or live the life that you're living, right? To be able to look at yourself in a judge free way and just acknowledge what is going on and what is the root cause of the situation, and understand that we all play a part in everything that happens to us, whether it's good or bad. And to be able to change things for the better, we have to start within. We cannot start to point fingers at other people for choices that we decided to make. So basically, that's what we're going to be talking about. Um, Understanding ourselves, the inner part of ourselves. What we want to do is embrace who we are. And then we want to find out those aspects of self that we're really not proud of, or that we feel that we could serve ourselves better, not others, but serve ourselves better, in giving ourselves grace and mercy. And this allows you to transform your life, and become aligned with your true self. Because I've said this before, we walk around and we wear masks and we are not aligned with our true selves. Let's talk a little bit about shadow work, since I brought shadow work up. And I did put some bullet notes here so I could kind of stay in order, because I can get off topic because this is so deep, right? Shadow work is basically exploring, right? Investigating parts of ourselves that we usually don't recognize, or we do and we try to bury. And you can't bury that stuff. They're like zombies. Those issues will pop back up, and they pop back up in the most inopportune moments that that could be had. Okay. um so a lot of times we reject ourselves, we deny ourselves, we punish ourselves. um Things that are shameful, we feel unacceptable, our fears, our insecurities, our traumas, our unconscious patterns, which is really a big one. Because usually the unconscious patterns are what I would call generational curses. They come down the family line. Now, you can have some patterns that you just automatically picked up, but there is a root, and if you followed that root, I'm pretty sure that it'll probably come from generational curses or things that your family have been dealing with down the line. And so we call that unconscious patterns of behavior. um, Understand that shadow work is not about getting rid of these things, but it's acknowledging that they are there, and if they are causing you to live a life that is subpar, that you have the ability to change those things so that you can live a more balanced and harmonious life. And that's what we're all about here. We're trying to get people to recognize what is going on in their mindset, recognize and get in touch with their physical body, and not just by food, but how it feels in certain situations, so that you can acknowledge when another situation comes up in the same way and your body is trying to tell you something. We had already talked about that last week in spirituality when we were talking about body scanning, getting to know your body when it has certain feelings. What do those feelings mean? When you enter certain rooms with certain energy, your body tells you certain things. To start listening to your body, it is more than something that consumes. It also speaks to you, but you need to know your own body's language, and not just like when you cross your arms, what do you mean? When you roll your eyes or suck your teeth, it's more than that. Okay. um, we want to really acknowledge ourselves and accept ourselves as whole. This realm only gives you parts. I don't care what you do, whether it's in math, science, whatever. This realm is good at giving you little pieces and parts. And then it sends you out there and it tells you to figure out how to put the whole together. We want to treat the whole. We ain't trying to take the parts. And that's why I wanted Rooted Vines to be so purposeful and intentional about the mind, body, and spirit being aligned, because we want to work on the whole. I can't just talk to you about the spiritual and never speak about the mind or the body. And I can't talk about the body and never talk about the mind and the spiritual. They are all one. We don't do pieces here. We are doing the whole you. We want all of you to be healed. Okay, so that is what this is about right now. Before we go on, I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, well, why is shadow work so important? And why am I seeing people talk about shadow work? Why are people talking about self-reflection? Why are people talking about self-responsibility? What can it do? What will it do for me? Well, on a personal note, it changed my entire life. Dealing with myself, looking at myself in the mirror, and acknowledging the pain that I have caused. I don't care if I was in kindergarten on up, acknowledging the lies I've told, the gossip I've been in, the whatever it may have been, because we're all human. Come on, we've all been there at some point in our lives, and to acknowledge that, and to acknowledge the situations I were in or relationships I were in that went sour, whether it's a friendship, whether it's someone in the family, but to acknowledge my part that I played in it, the part that I invited, the part that I allowed to get comfortable, the part that I signed contracts with. I was there. It takes two to tango. And you got to be strong enough to look at yourself and find out what part you played, so that you can so you can tell yourself, I don't ever want to play that role again. And then you start to put process and boundaries together so that you never find yourself having to play that role again. And you become stronger in saying the no. You become stronger in walking away from things that don't serve you, right? You see it coming like a train on a track towards you, and you can get off the rail and continue on, right? So shadow work is important because it allows us to release, relax, release, okay? And it clears a lot of mental blocks, right? Once you start dealing with yourself, things start to open up and stumbling blocks seem to just fall, because it's really hard. When they say the truth will set you free, being true to yourself in dealing with your issues, whatever they may be, definitely clears stumbling blocks, and it does give you the ability to live life um, as your true self. Take away the mask. I don't have to be anyone else but me. I am worthy, right? I am somebody. I have an assignment. There is a purpose on my life. So that's how we have to walk through this realm. Um, when we deny doing this work, we start to suppress, and we create like a split between consciousness, and that's where those masks come in. You're split up, and it ends up with an inner conflict. Do you ever have a war within yourself with a decision you have to make? Um, and you're like really boxing yourself. You end up with anxiety, and depression, because you really can't come to one with yourself and an agreement within yourself. So once you do shadow work, you don't do that anymore because you are now one whole. You're centered. You know yourself. You know what you like. You know what you're not going to get into. You know what you want. You want your life to look like. So you don't entertain anything outside of that. So you're free to be true to yourself. Um, Also, it opens up for you to see your patterns, your beliefs, deal with your emotions, and to make conscious choices that align with your values and your goals. And that's when you start to really move forward in your life. You really start to see where you want to be, and you're able to question yourself, your own self, on all the moves that you make. Why am I making this move? What do I want to come out of this? What are the consequences, and can I pay them if it goes south? That is one I tell my kids all the time. If you're going to make a choice, all I want you to do is walk that choice all the way out to the end and realize that there could be bad and good consequences. But if it works out, great. But if it doesn't, can you pay the cost to be the boss? Right? And if you're not sure, if your body's saying, you might want to work on it a little more. Work on your plan a little more. Try and get some other wisdom on the outside for people who've tried it or done it, and see how that works out before you just jump in. Okay, guys, since I titled this Mirror, let's go ahead and talk about the difference between mirrors and water reflections, okay? Because it's very important. I know I have issues with mirrors when I find myself, and I'm not really sure why, but I'm still kind of questioning myself why I do this. But anytime like I'm in the mirror doing my makeup, or if I'm putting on a head wrap, I stand really far away from the mirror. I never like get up on the mirror, and I'm really not sure why I do that. But have you ever just stared at the mirror and looked at yourself, and like you swear there might be a different movement than the one you're making, or like the person you're looking at wants to say something to you? And maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me, but mirrors are something else. It's just a habit that I step back a little ways and not be up on the mirror. But when you deal with mirrors, they're very precise, right? They're like a very clear view, very uniformed. What you see is kind of what you get. They reflect a lot of light with the mirrors, and more detail than you can get like in water, right? Uh, and mirrors, I don't know, mirrors are, I feel like I need to do a whole thing on mirrors because they're pretty they're pretty magical, and some people say they're portals, and I might have to agree with that. Maybe that's why I stay so far back. But when you deal with water reflections, they're not so precise, right? They can, you got the ripples, you got the movement. It doesn't really capture what your face in a pristine way. It can get a little blurry, a little distorted, and it can reflect the environment around you, like the trees, the sky, and create a more immersive dynamic reflection. And I like reflections in the water because honestly, I think they are the truth compared to looking in the mirror. I believe they reflect the murkiness we have in us, the distortion that we have, um, the things that look good on the outside that you can see in a regular mirror. The water's not going to show you that. It's going to show you like doing that work. Like you're not perfect. Yeah, you got some ripples going on over here. It's not so clean and pristine on this side. You're looking like a swamp. It gives you like a true re- reflection, a more reality based reflection to remind you that we are all learning, and you are not perfect. And I don't care what your eyebrows look like. I don't care what your behind look like. I don't care about your hairstyles and your nails and all of that. What I do care about it was what's in you, and I'm going to show you a true reflection of yourself. And a lot of us can't take that, so we would definitely take a pristine mirror over the murky waters any day, right? I say murky waters. There are some murky waters that will still show you your reflection. There's some that won't, and it is what it is. In terms of metaphysical or metaphorical, mirrors, no matter if it's the water or if it's the glass, or however you're using it, it is a symbol of self-awareness. All right, they are symbols of self-awareness and introspection. They make you stop and pause. You ever just look at yourself in the mirror and sometimes just pause? You're brushing your teeth, you wash your face, you just pause. And you just start to think about what you see or what you're going through, especially when you're like depressed or sad, or sometimes when you're joyous and happy. Looking yourself in the mirror gives you a different energy, like a different vibe. And if you've never done it, try it. And I would dare you to write a journal, the times that you do look in the mirror, and write down how you feel when you're seeing your reflection, and then what you're going through during that day or during that time of your life, to see if anything speaks to you or corresponds to you on trying to, do more introspection on yourself. So with mirrors, you're forced to confront your own image, and that's kind of powerful, right? To really look at yourself. Um, what do you see in your eyes? Are you smiling? Does your face look hard, like you've been living in these streets forever? Um, does it look like you have any joy, going on? Look at yourself. Because this is a great way to confront your image, and truly see yourself and embrace what you see. Don't toss it out with the bathwater or whatever, but embrace it. Sometimes we are hard because we have to be, because we're survivors. Um, Sometimes the depression or the sadness definitely gets to us, but it's something that you need to confront so that you can start to question yourself and try and figure a way to dig out of that. Um, Embrace the weaknesses. We all have weaknesses. Let's be real. We all got weaknesses, and for people to be out there and think that they have no weaknesses, those people I'm scared of. Those people I don't want to deal with, because we are all weak in certain areas. And that's why we pair up, right? That's why we have husbands, wives, girlfriends, or whatever. Wherever your weakness is, usually their strength should be, so that you become one whole and a stronger team. So let's go ahead and talk about, how do you practice shadow work. Now, I wrote a book, Confronting Reflections, um, because I wanted people to see how grief can transform to anger, that can transform to rage, and destroy all things in its path. You become like a negative hurricane, okay? And a tornado. Maybe a typhoon. I don't know. Typhoon? I don't know. I was something. So I wrote a book about my journey through the darkness, the valley of death, my suicidal and my homicidal tendencies and thoughts that was taking over. And I wrote um, how I was given instructions to do shadow work. I had never heard of shadow work until maybe 3 or 4 years after I had done this work. Um, but I had exercises that I share in the book about my journey, and my journey ended up being shadow work. It everything that I had gone through in my life, I had to realize that I played a part in it, good or bad. Good or bad, this world is full of good, it's full of bad. God reigns on the just as well as the unjust, and sometimes good people just get in the crossfires, right? And then some people, 9 times out of 10, most of us choose paths that do not serve us. And we want to say, why me later on, or we want to point to other people. And what I have learned, it's never good to point at other people. It's always good to point at self and realize what's going on with self. Now, I do know that when you are a child, some adults will take advantage and do certain things to children. You have no power. But when you do get older, you do have power. And you have to figure out where your power lies so that you can take what you have experienced as a child when you had no power to um, to catapult yourself to the next level, right? To be able to heal yourself. Because you're not going to get any healing from someone else. No one's going to come and be able to fill that void but you. You have to do the work. And when it comes to things like that, it's very hard work. And I believe that's why a lot of people turn or decide not to do it, because it is very hard to face yourself. I think it's the hardest thing in the world to face yourself, your demons, your weaknesses, your choices, your decisions. It's so much easier to point. But what happened was when I started pointing outwards, the Most High was like, honey, you got like dead bodies behind you that you caused. While you sitting up here telling me, oh, Susie and Tamara did me this way. They're like, look at the people behind you. How many did you do that way? How many dead bodies you got back there? You know, that you got buried, that you went out there spraying bullets. So you're out, we're all out here on a battlefield. Y'all are spraying me, I am spraying you. There's blood all over the place. But when you get hit, the first thing we want to do is say, oh, you come crying, look what they did to me, look what they did to me. But you never acknowledge that you've done that to someone else or more, right? I had to write letters to people. I decided to write letters to people so that I could take that to let them know that, yes, I played a role in this. You were a good person. This is what I saw in you. That's why I invited you. But then we played this crazy game. And, I just sent letters out. They didn't go like that. But depending on the person, I just sent letters out. Some had addresses where they could get back to me. Some did not, because I never wanted them to come in my life again. But it wasn't on a hurtful level. I just knew we were on different paths and we should have never hooked up in the first place. Whether it's girlfriendships, relationships, whatever, family, whatever. Just to acknowledge my part on that, because I know that my name is on somebody's letter that they need to send, right? Because I'm not innocent and neither are you. We all play these roles. But one role we need to stop playing is that role of a victim. Okay? Let's just be real about it. We have caused some pain and hurt out there. And for any of us to go crying to anyone without cleaning up our backyard is in the wrong. What do we do here? When we do this shadow work here, what you want to do is identify your shadows. You're like, okay, identify my shadows. I only got one shadow that follows me. What I want you to do is reflect on yourself, your patterns of behavior. How do you move through this realm? You know what I'm saying? If your shadow was a real person, your twin right there, and you just watch them move through the world, their patterns, their behaviors, how would you see yourself? How would you see them moving? You know what I mean? And be honest. What are they thinking? What are the emotions? And realize, you have to realize and ask yourself where they're coming from, because you need to know what triggers you. When you get triggered, your first question should be like, why did that trigger me? Why, when so-and-so said that, I felt like I needed to go all the way off. I needed to flip tables. I need to kick someone in the face. Why? We need to figure out what is triggering us and why it's triggering us. Why is it so hard for so many of us to walk away from situations that don't serve us? Why do we feel like we have to go all in or nothing, right? And it don't even be that serious, but something triggered you that it was that serious, okay? What do you avoid? or that you deny constantly. And even though in your gut you know it's true, what is that thing? So you need to grab a piece of paper and you need to start asking yourself this so that you can start dealing with self. This is how you start. This is how you start doing shadow work. You have to start looking at yourself, what you're thinking, what you're watching, what you're saying, who you're talking to, the places you're going, and you question yourself on why. And then what am I getting out of this? And then is any of these things pouring back into me? What is triggering me? Walk it back. Once I figure out, okay, this situation triggered me, but why did it trigger me? Have I been triggered like this before? And if yes, with whom and when? And then walk it back. With whom and when? What happened when you got to that first trigger? And who was it with? And then is this trigger only with men, women? Is it with everybody? What is it about? Those are the questions we have to ask when we start dealing with doing shadow work. Two, acknowledge them. Once you've written them down and you looked at them, I would say read them aloud. I had to read them aloud for about a week because I really needed to be able to confront myself on that type of level to change my mindset, because my mindset was really, it was gone. It was gone. And what you don't want to do, you don't want to judge yourself. You just want to state it as a fact, period. It's not judging. This is just a fact. This is just how it's been. And I'm writing this down. I'm saying it and I'm acknowledging it. There's no judgment and there's no shame, because it is what it is. I can't change the past, but I'm working on changing now. Everybody has shadows, right? We all have these reflections, but the reflections are not reflections of your self-worth. You are valued. You are worthy. So even though you come across these issues that we all have, they're different issues, but they're issues the same. It doesn't state that you are not worthy, because you definitely are worthy. Okay, so I want to get that out. And then once you do that, you're going to learn to embrace your shadows, right? Because once you deal with the whole and you know what you're dealing with, then you can move on, because this will bring growth and transformation. This will enable you to make the changes that you need to make, because now you know what you need to change. If you never look at yourself, you don't know what you need to change. You don't know what the root issue is, because you're never knowing thyself, right? You're never doing the work. You're never digging. You're never questioning. So in questioning, in writing down, in observing, in stating it out loud, you get to do growth and transformation to become a better person. Is that you definitely want to mirror yourself, right? You want to reflect on your beliefs and your values and your goals. And you want to question all of those, because I've said this before. We come into this realm, we've been given a name and a religion, and then we've been given these rules, and a lot of these rules don't make no doggone sense. Now there are some that do, I get it, but there's some that don't make sense, or there's some that expire once you get past a certain age. Okay, all right. Practice self-compassion. Love yourself. Understand that you did the best that you could with the information you had at the time. A lot of us beat ourselves to death, and we think we don't deserve anything because of something we've gone through, we agreed to. Do not fall for the okie doke, okay? We have all been there. We have all been there. Have self-compassion. Know that, okay, that was then. I've learned some lessons. I'm no longer that person. I no longer do these things. That was something I had to go through, because there were some lessons I had to learn, right? On spirituality, I talk about there's levels to this thing, right? So I may be in first grade. You may be a junior in college. We're on different levels. Have compassion. What you've gone through, other people are going through. And you're about to go through some stuff other people have gone through, right? It's just a succession of things. And so we want to have compassion for ourselves. Be kind. Be kind so that you can be kind to others. I always tell people, I treat you how I want to be treated. Why? Because I've learned to be kind and compassionate. I can easily have empathy for someone and put myself in their shoes, right? And with that, I grow and I transform, right? The earth shifts. You ever feel like deja vu? So deja vu is you are living a purposeful life and you're doing some things, some tremendous things, and it's shifting the energy. And you can feel the deja vu because right then you've just shifted your reality. You've just changed something in your future, right? You just changed something in your future. You're no longer living in that moment. You skipped ahead somewhere. You skipped ahead and you've changed something in the future because you're doing the work. So that's all that deja vu really is. Maybe one day I'll get into really the true gems of deja vu because, especially if you're someone who gets it all the time, you must be doing the work. You must be doing the work one way or the other, or you're doing the opposite because there is a lot of polarity. But I wouldn't want to do the opposite of what I'm doing because I don't know where you end up. But things get better and better when you do the work and you start to feel the shift. Um, Take action. Once you realize all of this about yourself and your awareness and your conscious, your values and your goals, um, take action. See a therapist, go to some support groups, depending on what you're going through now. A mentor if necessary, read books. YouTube has great videos on doing shadow work and what to do when you're in it. Meditate. Um, Prayer, whatever it is, make sure you take action. I know at Rooted Vines, I started Rooted Vines because all of the things that I offer to the public are things that I still use to keep my path aligned. These things help me in my mental capacity, my physical capacity, and my spiritual capacity. And I know a lot of people are learning to do shadow work, they're in shadow work. And so I wanted to offer an emporium that offered things to help you stay on track, right? And though we're new, we will continue to offer things that I feel that help me stay on track and would help someone else stay on track. So I'm going to give you some examples. Really, I have some notes here about shadow work. We're going to talk about number one, the biggest thing, fear of failure. I work on that all the time with this new business. Sometimes I'd be like, oh, I could have just stayed a student and watch my TV and it wouldn't be so hard. I wouldn't be so busy. I wouldn't have to study all of this new technology so much. But all that comes from the fear of failure because this is a new avenue for me, something I've never done before. And it's a lot of new steps. I'm very uncomfortable. I don't like technology at all. Before I even started all this, 9 times out of 10, I wouldn't be on my phone much because I would make sure to put my phone up somewhere so I could forget about it. My books were my thing. I'm always reading, I'm always studying so that I can, learn more about myself and the outside world and how to help people. That was my thing. So feel a failure is me all the time. But I'm learning to cope with that because I'm like, this is new. You what is the level? What am I grading myself on if you've never done it before, right? How can there be failure? All there can be is lessons. Oh, I learned this time, don't do it that way. You know what I'm saying? Okay, that it doesn't work that way. And that's how life is. Fear of failure comes to us because it wants to stop us. It wants us to stay comfortable where we are. And we cannot do that when you do the shadow work. Like I said, you have to take action, right? People who have feel a failure, they don't want to take risks. They don't want to try new things. They will die with regret and dissatisfaction. And so people with the failure fear, you have to ask yourself, why? What can I learn by taking calculated risks? Maybe that's easier. Maybe I just don't go out there and do just take big risks, but maybe it's calculated. Maybe I have to plan it out. Maybe I'll plan it out to make sure that it goes as smoothly as possible, but I'm still going to do it, right? I'm still going to do it. Because what we want you to do is pursue your goals with confidence. So even though you have fear of failure, there are ways around it. So, whatever you want to do, take small steps. But as long as you're taking those steps, you're going to overcome what you fear. Anger issues. Ooh, honey, I need it in my book. You talking about anger issues? Anger is very dangerous. But if anger has the chance to go forth and turn into rage, you can just hang it up, okay? Because I got to the rage portion, and I would have said I was scaring myself if I was there, but since I was on autopilot during the rage, and I just got to watch it go down, um, that's someplace you don't want to be, and you do not want to come up against someone who does have rage, because they're very dangerous people. They have nothing to lose at that point, and they don't mind leaving this realm, and they don't mind taking you with them. Um, a lot of people, when they're in the anger zone, they're stressed a lot, and they just lash out on people. They don't know how to handle it. Too much has hit their plate at once, and they just can't do it. I know they say God does not put more on you than you can bear, but sometimes if you're in rage and you're having deep anger issues, it's too much for you to bear. And sometimes it ends up being a cost that not only they have to pay with their life, but somebody else pays, because they've gotten too much on their plate and they weren't given the tools necessary to handle it. So the best thing is body scanning. Learn your emotions. Be able to question yourself, why you're feeling that way. Have constructive criticism. Try not to, I don't know how to say this way. Just avoid trying to damage relationships by starting certain conversations, doing certain things. But you definitely have to get to the root of your rage and your anger. And one thing that I can say about this is that it's very hard, because when you are that angry or you're enraged, you are very blind. And the only way I came out of it, it was not because of me, but it was literally because the Most High came and got me. So, I've been in church all my life. Um, Grandma, mom, dad, whatever, in church all my life. And I did not know that the Most High would come and get you. I did not know that that was possible. And that is what happened. And I don't know why he chose to come and get me, because, honey, I was out there throwing bombs. You hear me? I was wrecking some serious lives. But the only way I got out of that rage was that he came and got me and showed me something different. And he also gave me those 7 exercises that I did that brought me all the way out and healthy again as a whole person. I can say even before the traumatic experience, I was not a whole person, but I never stopped to question why, because I was so busy trying to live. I was always in survival mode. But after those instructions, I was actually whole. I was whole mentally, physically, and spiritually, and it was a whole different walk for me. So those with anger issues, you definitely want to have compassion for yourself, but you still have to do the work. And at that point, it's very hard for me to give you guidance on that, because when you are in the dark and you're in the blind, like I said, the only reason I came out was the Most High. This is a difficult place for you to be. So if you have it, I would say, if you can see a therapist, because I couldn't even see a therapist at the time. That's how when I say I was throwing bombs, I was throwing bombs. But if you can, please do. And my prayers are with you, because it's not a pretty place to be, and not a lot of people come out of it whole and healed. Self-doubt is another thing with examples of how shuttle works. Self-doubt, it just prevents you from taking action, right? You're not really sure about yourself. You're not worthy. You're either scared you will succeed, or you're scared you'll fail, because some people are scared of being successful, even though they want to do things that would take them on the path to having success. Again, learn to trust your intuition. Make confident choices, and align yourself purposely with what you have. And I always say you need to talk to yourself. Some experts say that if you record your voice And especially if you record your voice over like 436 hertz or 936 hertz or like that and play it at night, saying positive affirmations in alignment with whatever you're trying to do or be successful at, it helps because your subconscious is hearing itself and it's reprogramming itself with your own voice, telling it what you believe. So I am going to be successful. This is going to work for me. I will be prosperous. I am worthy. I can give it all I got. You know, those kind of things really does help. Let's see what else I wanted to talk about. What did I want to talk about? Take action. We talked about journaling. I want to make sure I went over everything with you. This time I didn't have any books. This time I didn't have any books to give you. Usually I have books, at least the top 3 that will help you with shadow work. This time I did not. But I do have some quotes. If you do not know Neville Goddard, and he has lots of books actually. He or people have written about him, Neville Goddard. But I think he had Goddard. I think he had books, and it is Neville, Neville, last name Goddard, Goddard. And he talks a lot. He has a lot of topics on self accountability, which I love. Right. So I'll leave you with some quotes. The first quote is, "Man's chief delusion is his conviction that there are causes other than his own state of consciousness." So what he's saying is that we live delusionally, thinking that someone else is pulling the strings for us, that someone else is making us do the things that we shouldn't be doing, when in reality it truly is us. So then the second quote I have for you is, "Take responsibility for your own thoughts, and you will become the master of your own mind." Right? So we have to control and to protect what we're thinking. And that's the music we listen to, the television shows we watch, the places that we're hanging out. All of those things, you are feeding your thoughts, and it is feeding you to think certain things. So we must take responsibility for the things that we think, because if you continue to think them, we are such powerful creatures. If you continue to think them, those things will come into your life. There will be an opportunity for you to play out that thought somewhere. And a lot of you are not strong enough because of all the other things that you put in, including your diet, to fight it. And you will take the opportunity to partake in those thoughts and end up in a place you don't want to be. That's all I got to say about that. Okay? Third quote: "Assume full responsibility for the things that you think, feel, and experience. This is the first step towards true self-mastery." That's right. So whatever you're thinking, you're feeling, whatever you do, whatever you put in motion, whatever you put in action, whatever comes out of your mouth, wherever you decide to go, take responsibility. Okay? It's nobody but you. You can't tell me that Sean drove you down there and you didn't have a job. No. Take responsibility. And once you start taking the responsibility for what's going on, people will see you in a different light. And when you continue to do that, you start to see yourself in a different light. Look, shadow work, holding yourself accountable, it is all for you to grow to the next level. This is hard because once you start doing self-development, self-responsibility, shadow work, you are going to leave. It is a fact. You're going to have to leave people behind. There's no way you can do this kind of work and have the same kind of people around you. Because once you start doing the work, it is a lonely journey for a while. And it takes some time to find people who's on the same journey. I've been on this journey for, good gracious, for 6 years, I believe. 6 or 7 years. Maybe 7 years. And it's very lonely. I still haven't found my tribe. Because like I said in my last one, usually they're not, you bump into them and they live far away. Like they're never around the corner. I try and do these outside because it's so pretty and I like being out here. these cars get on my nerves. You hear me? On my last nerve. And no, I'm not losing focus and I'm not distracted. That's for my mama. She's always saying, them cars go by and you lose focus. I don't lose it. It's just irritating. And it's a neighborhood. Why you gotta be that loud? That's all I'm saying. Why you gotta be that loud? But anyways, that's for another segment. Um, but I hope you found some value out of this. I hope those that are struggling, who are saying that they just don't like the way their life is being lived, that they're stressed out, that their family don't understand them. Things just aren't going right. Their relationship is crazy. They're hooked up with a narcissist or someone that's lying. Look, no matter where you are in your life, even if you're on the highlight of your life, you still deserve better. Like I said, there's levels to this thing. We're all trying to achieve the ultimate goal, right? So no matter where you're at, you're still trying to get to that next circle. So my advice is to do the shadow work. Find out who you truly are, what you truly want out of your life, and then start making those steps necessary that you can get to that. Um, Find the strength, because I thought that once I start changing, things would just blow up. People would be so hot and mad at me about cutting off relationships. None of that happened. Them jokers just went on about their life, right? Because they about that. Um, they didn't care. They wasn't heartbroken. Nobody can. They life moves on. Nothing stays stagnant except for you if you don't move. So what I want you to do is move. What I want you to do is be successful. What I want you to do is have courage and to believe in yourself and to do the work to find out where your root issues are coming from so you can go in there and dig them up and throw them as far as possible out of your life so that you can live a more harmonious and balanced life, because you deserve that, hun. You deserve that, king. You deserve that, queen. Let's get out here and live life the way that it was meant to live. Okay? So I will see you next Sunday. And if you have a topic, drop it in the comments. If not, I'll bring one.